Hi everybody, welcome to the first in a new series of Alan and Heath Q&A sessions. My name's Al, I'm one of the product specialists here at HQ down in Cornwall, and we are extending the sessions to include some of our Xone customers. So I'm here this afternoon to take your questions. Hi there, folks already in the chat room. We are live this afternoon, so if you've got some questions you'd like us to answer about our current Xone series, I'll see if I can do my best to answer them now, today, while we're online. By all means, keep the comments coming, the questions, and we will cover them in the coming sessions as well. What we're really interested in is what you'd like to know about our current range. So the mixer you've got in front of you, 9.6, PX5, 9.2, 43, 23, and the K2 are our main focus. And before I get too much further, I'll take a few of the questions that have come in before the stream started, and a few that I can see coming in as well. So thanks to a few of you. Mike, I see you there, and a few of the other guys. Maxime. Let me go through the ones I've picked up before we started. A couple of questions about rotaries on our models, rotary versions of the 43C, 9.6s. We don't have a rotary. They're all fader models, our current mixers. But thanks for the feedback. Like I say, this is a current products, so the ones that are in the market now, I'm really looking to focus on some questions for. But we're taking all the feedback and noting your comments on future products you'd like to see from us. It's all being noted. It's not a product launch today, though, so we've got a few bits and pieces I'm going to talk to you about as well. So just to cover the new stuff. DB4 guys, Matt Buckley, Fabio, Frank, Erlind, and PFM 1072. I'm going to shout out the names so you know we're answering your questions. DB4 went end of life last year, so it moved out of our production cycle. You'll see it listed on a discontinued products, so we're not making that anymore. The development phase of DB4 actually ended in 2015, so for those of you who are looking for new effects, that won't be happening in future, and it wouldn't have been on the cards for quite a while. Mac OS support, any of you DB users will be aware, did end when Apple launched Big Sur. Unfortunately, that was out of our hands, and there really is nothing we can do about it, guys, from the software side, drivers or firmware. It's unfortunately not possible. Changes that Apple have made to some of their core frameworks that the DB technology relied on are no longer supported by Apple. So that's the reason it's not supported on Mac OS beyond Catalina. So really sorry about that. It wasn't the only reason it went end of life. A couple of people said, why was it discontinued? It'd been around 10 years for a digital product. That's pretty hard going. So keeping it live and relevant for us, we figured 10 years was a good time to draw it to a close. And that does pull on straight into some of the other questions about future products. Guys, again, it's not a product launch here. I can see what you're trying to do, draw me into revealing some secrets. So I'm not going to give you any direct answers to any of those, but do give us your feedback. Perhaps we'll open a letterbox somewhere where you can drop feature requests and things like that in. Same goes for the things like bringing back the V6, Derek. I can see the conversation you'd like to have, and perhaps that's one we'll have another time, just sort of focused on feature requests, what you'd like to see from us. Perhaps what are your favourite features on the mixer you've got would be a good one. But quite a lot of questions in there. Mike, stuff in the pipeline. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline. But as I say, I'm not here to bring you product launches today. it's the current products we'd like to talk about. We know you ask us questions to the support team individually, and we know you ask each other questions as well, because we do see the traffic happening in other places. So we picked up a few of those as well, maybe give you an idea of where our sessions will go in future. And your colour palette for the Xone series, again, future things, we're not going to cover those today. But as I say, all of your comments are being noted and fed back. We do have stuff in the pipeline. We will be bringing out some new products, but I'm not going to tell you any more today. Let's talk about some other stuff. I tell you what I will talk to you about is compatibility for the current products, following on from giving you the sad news about the D series end of life for macOS. We are still supporting that on Windows. I think Windows 11 for DB is under test at the moment, being a discontinued range. But if I can just share you my screen here, we have a page on our website which will give you the latest up-to-date information we've got to share with you for our interfaces. So you can see here at present we are supporting macOS latest for all of the current products, and we confirm Windows 11 support as well for our hardware. You may or may not be aware, but the 96PX, 4323C and the K2 are all supported as class compliant. If you click on the little pop-ups, it'll give you the information where there is any associated software for the product. You can download the files that you need. But for drivers, for Macs, you don't need them. You can just connect it and the device will enumerate and start to work. I'll cover that in a little bit more detail, perhaps, if we don't get some more questions coming in live. On the Windows 11 and the Windows ones, you'll get the drivers. If you click on the pop-ups here, we'll give you the information on the release, and you can download your drivers there as well. So you will need drivers for Windows 10 and 11. You won't need those for macOS for the current range. Hopefully that'll give you a nice, easy access place on our website where you can find out the latest information for operating systems. We tend to release support a few months after they've been brought to market, so it gives our devs a chance to check them all out, and us to sort of make sure that the applications and things you're working and using on those platforms are also supported. But do always check that. I think we probably advise that if you can, migrate with partitions and stuff like that. But as I say, this is where we are now dropping all of our current information. Support active and no issues means that we haven't seen anything inherent in the hardware that prevent you from using it. Where we know about issues that affect our hardware, we'll try and make that available to you, that info. And where a current product can't be supported, we'll also let you know. One grade dot, class compliance means it should work with MPC Live, etc. Yeah, if it's running on your operating system, then the short answer should be yes. I'm going to go through a couple of little checks you can make for your operating systems, just where you can see where the hardware is, because I know we see a few things like that. But class compliance for macOS means you plug it in and either the application will see it and its sound card inputs and outputs, or the application will talk through the Mac's operating system to the sound card inputs and outputs. Sometimes that might restrict you to one pair of stereo inputs or outputs, but we can cover that in a little bit more detail. MC hardware, sorry, Studio Craftworks, sorry, one grade dot. If it's got an audio output on it and a MIDI input on it, likelihood is you can connect it, but class compliance really refers to the operating system compatibility. Most of our USB, all of our USB interfaces really need to interface with a computer, so a Mac, a PC, or they will also talk to iOS devices. So you can plug in an iPad into these via the USB. But in terms of the USB port on a different hardware device, that's a slightly different protocol. Again, seeing quite a lot of questions in here about some feature requests and stuff. So I think I've answered those. We get a few other bits and pieces of questions. I'll take that one down. As I say, any follow-up you want us to do, if you're not watching the stream live, feel free to carry on putting some questions into the comments and we can follow up on those. A little bit more general stuff. This one's a good one. The sort of questions we maybe think a Q&A is good for is we do get asked quite a few questions about these little plugs you might see on the back of your mixer. Sometimes we've encountered them on all sorts of RCAs on the back of those. What these are is FONO shorting plugs, and where they go is on an unused FONO RCA input on the back of your mixer. So when you get one out of the box, FONO inputs will have those plugged into them. When you take them out to plug in your turntables, that's great. What you don't want to do with them is plug them into a unused or spare line input on RCAs. Just keep them handy to one side. They're designed to keep the noise floor to the minimum specs so that when you don't have a turntable connected physically to the mixers, these should go into those sockets. Keep the specs within where our designers put them. So, to say, we see those plugged into all sorts of places, and or quite often they may be easy to misplace. If you keep those in your unused FONO inputs, then your mixers should be able to make best use of the dynamic range that we build into our analog kit. So it's little questions like that. What's this? How does that work? We're probably going to go into some more detail over the coming sessions. We're going to be looking to do one a month. And in some of those, we'll focus on a particular feature in detail. So our filters will be one we'll go into, talk to you about how they work. Any other bits and pieces like that, perhaps some effects routing, maybe some setups. Hopefully, when the world finally gets back on its feet, we'll be able to invite some people down here to HQ as well and have some conversations. Let's have a look. Maxime, a mixer missing a phono plug. That when you activate a filter, you can also pop or click sound. The phono shorting plugs, I'm going to hazard a guess, Maxime, that when you talk about pops and clicks, it's going to be what people reference quite a lot about the 92s filter switching. It's a very different thing there to the phono shorting plugs. What they do is keep the noise floor down. If you're interested in the whole kind of noise floor dynamic range thing when it comes to the mixers, what noise is in various scenarios, maybe that's something we'll cover as well. It's maybe a bit of a boring subject for some of you. Might be something a lot of you are already familiar with, and maybe it'll teach you something new to some guys who are a little bit less familiar with the technical aspects. So the popping and clicking, I think I'm going to assume you mean on a 9.2 is when you switch either the channel to a filter or when you turn the filter switch on and off. Those are electronic artifacts in that mixer and the design of it. But when it was designed, it was envisaged that the filter would be assigned and or turned on or off before the channel was live and you were mixing audio in and out. So is partly inherent in the electronic circuit. Bearing in mind 92 is 20 years old soon. Technology's moved on a long way, and any of you who've used or compared a 92 and a 96 will know that we've done a lot of redesign with new techniques and technologies available to us, and those kind of issues we are I'm not going to say fixed, although I know that's sort of the go-to sort of term that people are going to assume. We've improved and optimized the circuits, so those kind of residual artifacts that you hear in electronics are no longer audible, certainly on the outputs, and the main outputs feeding your speakers. And yes, Maxime, with the 96, it's gone. And that, again, the FONO shorting plugs, what that will do is stop hiss, the potentially radio frequency interference on an unterminated turntable input is a potential noise source, depending on where you are and what sort of environment you're in a house, a bedroom, untechnical environments. So we know a lot of people are working necessarily in places like that at the moment as well. So a lot of other things plugged in, they can pick up noise. So that's what the FONO shorting plugs are there to take account of. One of the other things that we also see a lot of questions about is just before I move on, Florian, it's a direct question to what I've been talking about. So the problem with the filters, there's not a problem when I talk about the popping and clicking. They're what we would refer to as artifacts. They're very low in the noise floor of the mixer. So generally speaking, when that was designed, they would be perceived that there wouldn't be a problem in the mixing. I am, and we are aware of how, if you've got a channel fader up and you then assign it to the filter, and or if the filter is turned on and off while you've got a channel live, you can hear some of the changes in the dynamic energy of the audio. That's the very technical explanation for what you guys are all calling pops and clicks and problems. It's not something that would be fixed in the 92, but if you're saying you've had to have filters replaced, that sounds to me like a different issue. Obviously, we're really sorry if you have problems, but the best advice for that is to talk to your local A&H distributor, our official partners. We talk to them on a day-to-day basis. They are there around the world to help diagnose and fix any repair problems you have. And as I say, if you contact them and or you contact us through our support channels, we can keep a track of all of that stuff. So problems, we're really sorry if you've had failures and stuff. We do have the means there to get that serviced and fixed for you. But be aware of difference of sort of perceptions of a problem and or what the thing is and isn't supposed to do. So I think those are probably the sort of things we might cover in Q&As. So questions again, Mike, about spare parts. 96 faceplate available as a spare part. Yeah, it would be. All of the assembly parts of the mixers would be available as spares. Obviously for various reasons, worst case happen and it gets damaged. Again, if you need spares and or you need a service, the best place that I would suggest you go, let me show you a screen again, is to our website, and the page is listed as where to buy. This is where the contacts for all of our worldwide distributors live. And if you click on the country link, you will find a contact. Usually it's an email, or you might find a link to their website. Most of the stuff here would be a preferred electronic contact initially, but say we talk to those guys around the world on a day-to-day basis from here. So that's where to get your spares. It's always a good place to go for advice if you think you've got some hardware issues. That's what they're there for, as well as to obviously sell you the stuff. Any ways to use Crunch? Here's one. Adiba81. Yeah, I think, and there was also another question as well from Dreamal T. excuse the pronunciations, guys, if I'm getting that wrong, about LFO on the 96, talking between the two. We replaced the 92's LFO feature with the crunch. Feedback from the development and the guys was that the LFO was not used quite so much as it had been when it was first put in as a feature. And there are probably other ways that you can achieve a similar sort of effect, especially now most people, or a lot of people, are using kind of the USB side. I think that was where the thinking of the LFO being replaced. The crunch, as you should be aware, adds a level of harmonic distortion into the mix. It gives you a little bit more of, again, using sort of subjective terms, the grit and the grunt that we like about music when people are using a lot of digital sources and very clean audio. Something you want when it's at high power is a little bit of grunt in there. The crunch does that really nicely. So you can add good noise if you have the filter set sort of higher up in the frequency range. And one of the things that we found chatting to some guys who run sound systems, so really into the low end and the bass heavy spectrum, is that if you use the crunch down in the low frequencies, you can get some really interesting effects if you've got subs and you're running high sound pressure levels at low frequencies. Try the crunch there. It does some really interesting stuff, some really cool stuff. And if you get a chance to get into environments where that sound is at levels that have become physical, you'll get to see what I mean. Perhaps this one we'll focus on a little bit more detail in future when we look at the filters. But thanks for the questions. Again, I see some more people asking us about rotaries. That will go back into the feedback pile. I'll refer you back earlier to my "This Isn't a Product Launch" Q&A. Serato for the PX5 would be great. Again, we're not doing product launches today. Are we going to be picking up Tractor as a DJ software? There's an awful lot of rumours around out there, aren't there? I'm not here to comment or try and stir up the rumour mill in one way or another. It'll probably happen anyway, regardless of anything we do or don't say. We get on great with the guys at Native. We always have. I'm sure you know. Same with Serato. It's always nice to think about what we might or will be doing. We'll let you know when it happens. But we are in touch with all of those guys. Swivel version of 96, rotaries, I think we're within the same thing again. Before I go, been rattling on for a little while now. And as I say, I think consider this an introduction, folks. We'll be back again next month. So if you have some questions, as I say, carry on commenting and we'll follow them up. If I've missed any today, apologies for that. I'm getting used to our new environment here. You should see more of this coming online as the year progresses and the other guys in the team start using the studio for their streams as well. If you want to give us feedback, nudgy, people out there saying hi. I can see you saying it. Sorry if my thread isn't shouting out to you directly. If you've got questions for the Q&As, drop them in the comments. If you want to have a conversation with us about something, again, send us a DM. We do read and see them. If you've got sort of technical questions or other things in particular you'd like to put under our nose, by all means, reach out to support. Myself and Luke, you might be familiar with if you've submitted a ticket, will be at the end of quite a lot of those conversations. So you can pick up a discussion with us there in support at alan-heath.com. Submit a ticket. Generally, it's there for advice, but it's quite general advice we're willing to give you initially. So if there's stuff you've got you'd like us to see, drop us a DM or pop it onto a support ticket and we can pick it up from there or redirect it where it needs to go. As I say, I'll be back again in a month. And before I go, Mike, this is probably where I was going to go next, actually, in terms of routing and setting up and things like that. Send return effects routing chart. It's a good one. Certainly, I think it's the system block diagram in the user guide is the short answer to that question, but I appreciate for some people it might not be quite so easy to get your head around. So what I could probably do for you in a few minutes here is walk you through maybe a setup for something like Tractor, but what's the scenario you'd like us to show you? Send return for effects. Would you like us to show you how to set up some external effects? Would you like us to show you how to set them up for a particular application? The common ones that come to mind for me would be setting up Tractor, setting up some Ableton Live VSTs to go along with that. If you have a look in our YouTube videos, I covered that a while back for the 23C, and it's a fairly similar process. What I could do for you is run through integrating an isolator. Okay, yeah, sure, I can give you a reply to that. Something like an isolator, if you're using for the 96, I would suggest where you want to put that would be as an insert on the main returns for the mixer. So if I just got one here, share you picture of the rear panel. I'll cover this perhaps briefly for you before I go. What you will see there is on the 9.6 we have a master insert section here. There's a similar insert available on the PX5 as well. The I/O is configured a little bit differently. So what we have on the 9.6 is a send to your insert processing device, and then from the outputs of the processor back into the return. So for things like an isolator, that would be ideal. Connect out from the left-right send on the 9.6 onto the left-right inputs on the isolator, and then from the isolator's outputs to the left-right return. What that will do is it will take the left-right mix outputs, route them into your isolator before they go anywhere else. So what you're sending from the outputs of the master on the 96 will essentially be the outputs of the isolator coming back in here. I hope that was okay for you to follow. On the PX5, we still have a master insert, but it is done as the old traditional inserts. So you have one socket for the send and the return, for the left and the right. Perhaps I'll get some diagrams for you and show you with some graphics, so that's a little bit more easy to follow. Not between the master out and the PA. No, that's what the insert's for. It enables you to go in and out of a device and then go out of the main XLRs. We quite like our main balanced output stage on our mixers. They're pretty good. You know, you'll get a little bit more of the Xone sound if you come out of our mix bus as your final stage before you hit into your PAs, loudspeaker management and stuff. Again, we'll note some of these things down, and in the coming months, I'll be happy to get proper geeky with you guys and go into the nitty gritty in detail. I think before I go too far into anything else, and I end up rambling on for hours and hours and hours, we'll save some of those for next time. It's been great to see so many of you here. See, I was a little bit under the impression we might be talking to some tumbleweeds. So thanks, guys, for joining me. Keith is there in the background answering a couple of your questions that I've overlooked. But as I say, put the comments in there. We'd like you to ask us questions about the products we're making now for these Q&As. As I say, we'll do a letterbox for some feature requests, so you can drop them in there. We do listen to them. We really do appreciate them, actually. And they do feed into our future products. So they are welcome. As I say, hopefully we'll also have some more live sessions as the year unfolds, and we can all move around a little bit more freely. We'll have some guests here, or we might be out and about chatting to some of our artists and some of the people we're working with. It's been a couple of years, I think, really, since you might have seen much from the Xone team. The world has been turned upside down and shaken about quite a bit as well. There have been a lot of changes. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of that news with you as we go on. And as I say, we're really interested to hear what you've got to say. We're really interested to hear what you'd like us to talk to you about. Aside from the new products, they will come. We've got a lot of things that we are looking at and talking about, and ideas that are going through the mill at the moment. But as I say, the Q&A sessions and the live sessions will be for the stuff that we've got out there now that you can purchase or that you've purchased already. So maybe you've just got it out of the box, you're scratching your head about something, you're looking online for a little bit of information that you can't quite find the answers for, or maybe you don't get the information that's out there. The user guides are quite long, probably wordy. If you'd like us to try and explain stuff to you in another way, let us know about that. And hopefully we'll have some more questions, a little bit more detail, certainly some features to get into next time I see you. And I say thanks again for joining us, and keep an eye on the link. This will be back again in a month's time, and keep your eye out for other guys in the team. Keith, Jack, I think Alex might be joining us as well. Martin and Val will all be back with more sessions over the coming months. And noted there, Mike, for the external effects, frequencies and stuff like that. Richard, okay. I can see the questions coming in now. So this is great. Look, keep feeding into the comments. You'll give me a bunch of stuff to review and follow up on for next time. So that's kind of the idea. I'll say goodbye for now. There was one thing before I go, because a couple of people have commented on my threads. Thank you for that. You want a hoodie? Again, go to the where to buy page on our website, click on your country, talk to the distributors, say you'd like an official Allen and Heath hoodie. You've seen Al wearing it on the live stream. They'll soon find out what it is, and we can get those out through our distributors to you. If you'd like to see some more Xone merch, let us know. Again, tell us what you'd like to hear from us, and I'll look forward to speaking to you again across the months over the coming year. Thanks, guys, and see you again soon, okay?